In our modern world, we often assume that more testing means better health, that the more we scan, check, and measure, the safer we'll be. This belief is deeply human. It comes from our fear of the unknown and our longing to control the unpredictable nature of the body. After 60, this instinct becomes even stronger. We've lived long enough to see friends fall ill, to face our own health scares, and to realize that time moves faster than we once thought. So we cling to tests, blood work scans, checkups, as if they were shields protecting us from uncertainty. But what if they sometimes do the opposite? What if, in our effort to stay safe, we create new forms of suffering? Every medical test begins with good intentions. A doctor recommends a scan just to be safe. A lab suggests a new screening just to be thorough. It feels responsible, even noble, to comply. But each test opens a door. Behind that door can lie reassurance, or it can unleash worry that lingers for weeks, months, even years. Imagine going for a full body scan and being told they found a spot on your lung or a nodule on your thyroid. Most of these findings are harmless, the ordinary marks of aging, small scars, cysts, or shadows that mean nothing. Yet once you know they exist, you can't forget them. Anxiety begins to fill the space that used to hold peace. You start imagining worst-case scenarios, searching online, awaiting follow-up tests, and losing sleep over something that may never harm you. This is what we call overdiagnosis, the detection of conditions that would never have caused illness or death if left undiscovered. Overdiagnosis can lead to overtreatment, surgeries, medications, or biopsies that carry their own risks. Each intervention, no matter how small, has the potential to wound, and beyond physical harm, there's the emotional toll. The quiet, invisible erosion of one's sense of well-being. It's ironic that in trying to protect ourselves from disease, we sometimes make ourselves feel more fragile, more uncertain, more afraid. The truth is, medical technology is powerful but imperfect. It can see more than ever before, but it doesn't always know what it's seeing. The human body is not a machine that can be fine-tuned endlessly. It's a living system, complex, adaptive, full of mystery. As we age, it naturally accumulates irregularities that aren't dangerous but look alarming on a report. The challenge lies not in discovering every detail, but in knowing which details truly matter. That's where wisdom must replace reflex. We must ask, will this test change how I live? Will it change my treatment in a meaningful way? Or will it only feed my anxiety without improving my health? True prevention isn't about scanning every inch of our bodies for hidden flaws. It's about maintaining a relationship with ourselves, listening carefully to our energy, appetite, sleep, and mood. It's about noticing when something feels off, and then responding with patience and care, not panic. After 60, our goal should shift from catching disease early to cultivating health daily. That means moving our bodies regularly, eating nourishing food, managing stress, and staying connected to people we love. These actions don't require a doctor's order, yet they often do more for longevity and vitality than any test ever could. Of course, tests still have their place. They save lives when used wisely, when guided by symptoms, risk factors, or genuine medical need. The problem isn't the tests themselves, it's our uncritical trust in them. Health isn't a number or an image. It's a balance between vigilance and calm, between curiosity and acceptance. More tests can't guarantee more years. But mindful living, grounded choices, and emotional resilience can make every year richer, clearer, and more meaningful. So when you feel that urge to test for the sake of reassurance, pause and breathe. Ask yourself whether you're seeking knowledge or simply comfort. Because sometimes the healthiest choice is not to look deeper into the shadows of the body, but to live more fully in the light of what you already know. That your well-being depends less on constant testing and more on trust, balance, and the wisdom of restraint. Listening to the body is one of the simplest and yet most forgotten skills of modern life. From the moment we wake up, we are surrounded by machines that measure, track, and interpret our health for us. Watches count our steps, phones record our sleep, and clinics offer endless scans to tell us what's happening inside. But somewhere along this path, many of us have stopped hearing our own internal signals. After 60, when the body begins to whisper in subtler ways, this disconnection becomes even more dangerous. The truth is, no machine, no number, no test can understand your body the way you can. Technology may be able to measure data, but only you can sense meaning. Think of how your body speaks to you through energy levels, appetite, digestion, and sleep. It tells you when something is wrong, often long before a test can. A sudden change in how you feel, a new ache, a pattern of fatigue. These are messages, not inconveniences. The body doesn't betray us, it tries to communicate. Yet many of us have been trained to distrust it. We rush to check an app or run a lab test instead of sitting quietly and noticing what's different. This is not because we lack wisdom, but because we've been taught that science always knows better than intuition. Modern medicine is a gift, but it was never meant to replace awareness. It was meant to work alongside it. The tragedy is that we often go through an entire day without noticing how we feel until something forces us to stop. We treat tiredness with caffeine, sadness with entertainment, and pain with pills. Each shortcut teaches the brain to ignore its own language. After 60, this habit can lead to unnecessary suffering because small imbalances, dehydration, poor sleep, emotional strain can quickly grow into bigger problems when left unacknowledged. Listening to the body doesn't mean rejecting medical advice or refusing tests. It means bringing consciousness back into the process. It means asking, what is my body trying to tell me, before rushing to fix it. For example, if your blood pressure fluctuates, don't just see it as a number. Reflect on your day. Were you anxious, dehydrated, under-rested, or lonely? Numbers without context can mislead. But when paired with self-understanding, they become powerful tools for balance. There's also a kind of peace that comes from trusting your inner cues. Many people over 60 describe moments when they just knew something was wrong before doctors could confirm it, or when they knew they were fine even though tests suggested otherwise. This inner knowing is not mystical, it's the product of decades of living inside the same body. The brain learns your rhythms, your normal patterns, your quiet alarms. But like any language, if you stop using it, you forget how to understand it. One of the most profound lessons of aging is learning to replace control with awareness. We can't stop every illness, but we can respond to our bodies with patience and presence. Each symptom becomes less frightening when we see it as information rather than failure. A racing heart may be asking for rest. A stiff back may be reminding us to move. A restless night might be urging reflection. The key is to listen gently without judgment or fear. Medical technology can show us what's happening, but only awareness can show us why it matters. The test might tell you your heart rate, but only you can feel the rhythm of your breath. The scan might show your bones, but only you can sense their strength when you walk. The lab can measure your blood sugar, but only you can notice how certain foods make you feel. These inner signals, when honored, guide us toward healthier decisions than any machine ever could. After 60, listening to your body isn't just good health practice. It's an act of respect. It honors the decades your body has worked for you, the wisdom it carries, and the quiet truths it still tries to share. You don't need a device to tell you when to rest or eat or move. You need to trust the natural intelligence that's been there all along. Because when you begin to hear your body clearly, you don't just live longer, you live deeper, calmer, and far more connected to the life within you. Numbers have a strange power over us. They seem objective, certain, and unarguable. A test result feels like truth printed on paper, precise, scientific, reliable. But numbers, especially in medicine, are not the whole story. They are fragments of information, detached from the living context of the person they describe. After 60, when test results start to fluctuate more than before, it's easy to become anxious, to see every small change as a warning. Yet understanding numbers requires perspective, the kind that comes not from a lab report, but from experience, conversation, and reflection. When you receive a blood test or a scan, the numbers might look straightforward: cholesterol, blood pressure, blood sugar, PSA, bone density. Each comes with a normal range, but that range isn't absolute. It's a statistical average based on millions of people, not a personal standard tailored to you. What's normal for one person might not be normal for another. A number slightly outside the ideal range doesn't necessarily mean something is wrong. It may simply reflect how your body uniquely operates. The danger begins when we interpret every deviation as disease. A small rise in cholesterol or a borderline blood sugar level can suddenly feel catastrophic, even when the change has no real impact on health. This is how fear takes hold, not from illness itself, but from the misunderstanding of information. Numbers without context can lead us into panic, unnecessary medication, and a sense of fragility that erodes confidence in our own resilience. Medicine, at its best, is not about chasing perfect numbers. It's about understanding the story those numbers belong to. A good doctor doesn't just read a lab result. They ask about your lifestyle, your habits, your emotional state. Are you sleeping well? Have you been stressed? Are you eating differently, exercising less, or dealing with loss? Each of these factors can shift numbers temporarily. Treating the data without knowing the story is like fixing a single note in a song without listening to the melody. After 60, the body's rhythms change naturally. Blood pressure might vary more, metabolism slows, and hormone levels decline. These shifts are part of aging, not proof of failure. Yet our culture often pathologizes these normal changes. We try to control every metric to keep our bodies frozen at 30. But aging is not a problem to solve, it's a process to understand. Numbers can guide us, but they should not define us. It's also important to recognize that some of the most vital aspects of health can't be measured. There's no test for contentment, resilience, or purpose, yet these are often the strongest predictors of longevity and quality of life. A person with slightly high cholesterol but a joyful, active Low-stress life may be far healthier than someone with perfect numbers who lives in constant worry. Health isn't the absence of abnormal values, it's the presence of balance between body, mind, and spirit. That's why interpretation is everything. If a test comes back abnormal, take a breath before reacting. Ask your doctor what the number truly means in the bigger picture. Is it a trend or a one-time fluctuation? Does it require action or simply observation? Sometimes the best medicine is not to immediately correct a number, but to understand why it changed in the first place. This approach transforms fear into curiosity, a shift that empowers rather than weakens. We must remember that numbers are tools, not verdicts. They are useful only when placed in the context of your entire life. Your body is not a collection of data points. It's a living story shaped by choices, emotions, and time. When you see your results, don't ask only, is this normal? Ask, what is this telling me about how I'm living? That question opens the door to real healing, not through control or perfection, but through understanding and balance. Because ultimately, health after 60 is not about perfect numbers, it's about perspective. The ability to see beyond the data, to trust your experience, and to make decisions guided by wisdom rather than fear. When numbers become conversation instead of condemnation, they cease to rule us. They simply remind us that we are complex, evolving, and beautifully human. Prevention has become a powerful word in modern medicine. It promises safety, control, and the illusion that if we just do enough, eat right, test often, and follow every guideline, we can outsmart aging. Yet true prevention is not found in a lab or on a prescription pad. It is lived in the quiet moments of everyday life, in the food we prepare, the walks we take, the way we handle stress, and the relationships we nurture. After 60, this truth becomes clearer than ever. Our bodies respond less to what doctors prescribe and more to how we choose to live. We've been conditioned to believe that prevention is something done to us through screenings, medications, and procedures, but these are only small parts of the picture. Real prevention is a way of being. It is the consistent, mindful attention we give to our physical, emotional, and spiritual health. When we confuse prevention with medical surveillance, we start to believe that health is something that can be found in numbers and machines. But prevention is not about constant testing. It's about constant care. A healthy life after 60 begins with movement, not the kind that requires gyms or heavy routines, but simple, intentional movement, the kind that wakes up the body and strengthens the heart. Walking, stretching, gardening, or dancing are not trivial acts. They are powerful medicine. Each step keeps blood flowing, joints flexible, and mood stable. Our ancestors didn't rely on structured exercise. They lived actively. The human body was built to move, and it remains one of the most effective preventive tools we have. Then there's nourishment. The food we eat either fuels balance or feeds inflammation. Prevention lives in every meal we choose. Fresh vegetables, whole grains, lean proteins, clean water, and mindful portions. These choices do more to protect us from disease than any test can. Yet equally important is our relationship with food. Eating slowly with gratitude helps digestion and fosters awareness. Food isn't just nutrition, it's communication with our bodies. When we eat mindfully, we begin to understand what energizes us and what drains us. Sleep, too, is prevention. It is the body's natural repair system, a nightly renewal of cells, memory, and mood. Many people underestimate its importance, especially as they age. But after 60, consistent, deep sleep can lower blood pressure, improve cognition, and boost immunity. No pill or test can replace what 8 hours of rest does naturally. Prevention is often as simple as allowing the body to do what it was designed to do, heal itself through rest. Emotional health is another pillar often ignored in the conversation about prevention. Chronic stress, resentment, and loneliness can harm the body as much as poor diet or lack of movement. The nervous system carries emotional pain as physical strain. After 60, the weight of accumulated worries can begin to show up as fatigue, tension, or illness. Preventing disease means learning to release what no longer serves us, to forgive, to laugh, to connect. Human connection, especially, is medicine. Time with friends, family, or community strengthens not only the heart but the immune system. Mindful living is perhaps the deepest form of prevention. It means noticing the small signals before they become shouts. It means honoring what the body tells us, adjusting gently, and living with rhythm instead of resistance. The body rewards consistency, not intensity. A little care every day creates resilience that no sudden intervention can match. This is why real prevention can never be reduced to a medical checklist. The best preventive medicine is built into daily life: movement, nourishment, rest, peace, and connection. These are not quick fixes, but long-term investments in vitality. Tests and treatments may detect illness, but only lifestyle sustains wellness. So when you think of prevention, don't imagine hospitals or machines. Imagine your kitchen, your morning walk, your laughter with friends, your quiet evening moments. That's where real prevention lives, not in numbers or results, but in the small, intentional choices that honor your body every day. After 60, Prevention isn't about fearing disease, it's about celebrating life by living it with care, awareness, and gratitude. Medicine was never meant to be a one-way conversation. It was meant to be a partnership, a space where both the doctor and the patient bring their wisdom, experience, and questions to the table. Yet, over time, this balance has shifted. The medical system has become faster, more mechanical, more data-driven. Appointments are shorter, charts are longer, and the human story often gets lost between lab results and treatment plans. After 60, when health concerns grow more complex, this loss becomes even more personal. Healing requires more than prescriptions, it requires understanding. And understanding begins with dialogue, not directives. Too often, patients feel like passive participants in their own care. They're told what to do, when to test, and which pills to take, without space to ask why or what are the alternatives. Many follow instructions out of trust or fear, not because they feel truly heard. But real medicine doesn't live in compliance, it lives in collaboration. It's built on the belief that both sides, doctor and patient, have something essential to contribute. The doctor brings knowledge of science, the patient brings knowledge of self. Together, they form a complete picture. A good conversation between patient and doctor is not about control, but about curiosity. It's a dialogue that begins with the question, what matters most to you? That question changes everything. For one person, it may be living without pain. For another, it might be maintaining independence or clarity of mind. Treatment then becomes personal, not mechanical. Without that understanding, medicine risks treating diseases instead of people. After 60, the need for this dialogue deepens. Bodies change, priorities shift, and what once worked may no longer fit. A treatment plan that made sense at 50 may bring side effects or complications at 70. A test that was once useful may now cause unnecessary worry. Only through conversation can these nuances be recognized. Doctors can guide, but patients must participate, asking questions, expressing fears, and sharing experiences openly. When patients are silent, decisions are made for them. When they speak, decisions are made with them. This shared understanding also prevents over-medicalization, the growing tendency to turn every sign of aging into a problem that needs intervention. Medicine often moves quickly toward fixing, but healing sometimes requires listening first. A wise doctor understands that sometimes doing less can lead to better outcomes. A wise patient understands that saying, "I'd like to wait and see," is not defiance but discernment. This kind of dialogue restores humanity to medicine. Trust is the bridge that allows this conversation to happen. Trust doesn't mean blind obedience, it means mutual respect. Patients must trust their doctors to tell the truth, even when it's hard to hear. Doctors must trust their patients to share honestly, even when it's uncomfortable. Trust grows when both sides feel seen and heard. When appointments are not just exchanges of data, but exchanges of humanity. Communication also gives space for emotion, an often forgotten part of healing. Fear, grief, frustration, and hope all live inside the patient's story. Ignoring them doesn't make them disappear, it drives them deeper into the body, where they turn into tension and fatigue. A caring doctor listens not only to symptoms but to silences, not only to complaints but to concerns. In that shared space, real healing begins, the kind that no test can measure. Medicine, at its core, is not about controlling nature but about cooperating with it. It's about helping the body and mind find their way back to balance. That balance can only be discovered through conversation, honest, compassionate, and unhurried. When doctor and patient speak openly, medicine becomes what it was always meant to be, a practice of trust, not fear, of understanding, not instruction. After 60, this becomes the heart of true care, not more procedures, not endless testing, but meaningful connection. Healing happens when people are not treated as problems to fix, but as partners to understand. In the end, medicine should not silence the patient's voice, it should strengthen it. Because in that voice lies the most important information of all, the truth of the life being lived. There comes a time in life when health is no longer measured by how perfectly the body performs, but by how peacefully we live within it. After 60, many people begin to realize that the pursuit of control, of flawless numbers, of endless testing, of constant medical intervention can quietly rob them of joy. The body changes, it slows, softens, and asks for gentleness. And yet, so many of us respond with fear instead of acceptance, trying to fight time instead of walking alongside it. True wisdom at this stage of life is not found in resisting aging, but in understanding it. It's in choosing balance over fear, awareness over anxiety, and grace over control. We live in a culture that teaches us to see aging as decline, a problem to solve rather than a season to embrace. Every advertisement tells us to reverse or defy or fight age as if growing older were an illness. This mindset breeds fear. It makes every ache feel like a warning, every wrinkle like a loss. But aging is not the enemy. It is evidence that you have lived, that your body has carried you through years of love, effort, learning, and survival. Fear, on the other hand, drains energy and distorts perspective. It convinces us that we are broken when, in truth, we are simply evolving. Choosing balance over fear means understanding that health is not the same as perfection. It means accepting that a few medical imperfections, slightly high cholesterol, a slower metabolism, weaker bones, do not define your worth or your vitality. They are part of the natural rhythm of life. The goal is not to chase youth, but to cultivate harmony between body and mind. Balance looks like caring for yourself without obsession, staying active without punishment, eating well without restriction, and resting without guilt. It's the gentle middle path between doing too little and doing too much. Fear often drives people to over-medicalize their lives. A small symptom sends them rushing for tests, treatments, and pills, not always because they are sick, but because they are scared of becoming sick. Yet this kind of vigilance can become its own illness. It fills the mind with worry and steals the present moment. Wisdom reminds us that not every discomfort needs to be fixed, not every imperfection requires attention. Sometimes the healthiest thing to do is simply to breathe, observe, and allow time to reveal what truly needs care. Balance also means learning to trust the body again. For decades, we've relied on doctors, devices, and data to tell us how we feel. But your body is still your most honest guide. It knows when it needs rest, when it needs movement, when it needs stillness. Tuning into that internal rhythm brings a kind of freedom no medical test can provide. It allows you to live in cooperation with your body rather than in constant suspicion of it. That trust is not naivety, it's wise. It acknowledges that while we can't control everything, we can choose how we respond to what life brings. Embracing balance after 60 also means recognizing the emotional and spiritual dimensions of health. Peace of mind is not separate from physical well-being, they are deeply intertwined. A calm, grateful mind can lower blood pressure, boost immunity, and improve sleep. Fear, on the other hand, keeps the nervous system in constant alarm, making healing harder. Cultivating calm through reflection, prayer, meditation, or simple stillness becomes just as important as any medicine. To live with balance is to live with intention. It's waking up each day and choosing to care for yourself out of love, not fear. It's accepting that while the body may grow older, your awareness, compassion, and presence can deepen infinitely. That is the real gift of aging, not the loss of strength, but the gain of understanding. In the end, balance over fear is a form of liberation. It frees you from the endless chase of perfection and invites you to live fully, gratefully, and wisely in the body you have. After 60, that is not just good medicine, it is the essence of healing itself.